Hello everybody. I'm just going to give it a couple seconds. I'm live on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, it takes a while for people to get into this class. It is free on Tuesday nights. It's usually at 7:30. Today we're starting at 9. And yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Okay. Here we go. People are coming in. That's good. Hello everybody. Welcome, welcome. Sorry I'm late. Hello Debbie. All right. So we're going to start on this little guy. We're doing Noah's Ark right now. And this was the giraffe. We're going to do an owl next. And the owl isn't that complicated, but you will need the V tool to do the feathering and such. Okay, so I kind of drew it out ahead of time, and somebody asked me if I could give you a little more dimensions of how deep things are. I'll be right back. I'll wait for a few more people to come on, and let's see if I can find myself a ruler. Of course, when I need one, I can't find one. All right, I'm back. I think a 25-foot ruler ought to work. Hello from Washington. Hello, Milton. Thank you. All right, so you're going to get a piece that is 2.5, not 2.5, 2.25 long by 1.5 by 1.5 square. Hi, Jack. So, and to all my Canadian relatives and friends up there. Okay, so we're working on the owl. So someone asked, how far down do you cut for the head? Well, it's just a little over an inch and 1/8. Okay, that's where I have it. Hello from Florida. All right, so we're going to start right away. The clock's telling me it's time to start here. So what I did was I went down about 1 1/8, and I drew a straight line across. And how I usually do that, if you're kind of new to this, so I take my finger and I rest it on the top, and I put so this will be my guide on this side. And that way, if I do all 4 sides, it should all come out the same. That's one way to keep it even. All right. And then in the middle here, you're going to go maybe, 3/8 of an inch on each side, and you're going to put a line on each side. And again, I use my finger to show how to do that. All right. And then I kind of pop out where the ears are going to come out. And then I made my circle from the edge of the bill there and all the way around. So that's really hard to get that exactly right. So when you do one side, you're going to be looking at it a lot to make sure it's even, but if it's a little uneven, don't get too concerned about it. Somebody came up with an idea that you could also make a template. You can use a quarter or maybe a dime or a quarter or a nickel and lay it there and draw it out as well. But I like to do things freehand. And then I made another eyeball in the center. And I'll adjust this as I go around. You know, we're going to cut it up first, and then this will be probably the last part we'll do, okay, for the face. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the ears out. Now this is kind of, if you turn it like this is how you would do the bear, okay? You would cut this out, and then you would trim inside it and stuff like that. But we're just going to do it opposite. We are going to cut it in the back, pretty straight across, and we're just going to taper it in a little bit. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go from the ear here first. We're going to just go across. We're going to give it a little bit of room there. We're going to go right across like so. And we're just going to cut a little bit out, okay? Just like so. Same thing over here. You kind of do it the same depth and kind of straight in and across, and we'll cut that out. See if I did right to the tip. Yeah, because we're going to taper it off to, it's going to, the reason you have a little space here is because when we trim it off, you're going to trim it out to the back. All right, so the next thing I do is I start doing the corners here. So the first thing we're going to do is right underneath. Now the bill's going to be a little bit higher. There's going to be a little space in between the two. So we're going to cut it, and we're going to just do a nice little cut, just like so. Okay? We're going to do each corner that way, just like we do when we do a hat or a face, or, you know, we do the corners first and then we match them with the V-tool. So I'm sorry I was late today. It was quite a busy day today. So, and between tax time and all that good stuff, I got a little bit behind with everything today. So now you're going to take your V-tool, okay, your hefty little V-tool, which is this little guy here, the little V-tool. That's why it's called a V-tool. And you're going to just take your, go from one to the other, okay, right across that line. If it's not exactly straight, it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, and right here. Perfect. All right, so that gives us a guideline all the way around. And the next thing we're going to do is, because his neck is in pretty far, it's not right up, we want to shape it nice. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and dig this out a little deeper. Now it's okay to take it out a little bit more on the sides, not in the front yet, okay? Hello, Peggy. Oh, you're very welcome. Welcome to our class. Any newcomers, welcome. I'm getting a lot of feedback on it, and it seems like you folks enjoy this, so I'm going to keep going for a while, probably till summer hits, and then I might take a little bit of a break because I have yard work and farm work to do. All right, so, but for right now, it's fine. Next week, I already have another plan for the next 2 weeks, so we'll be in good shape. Hi, Justin. So if I look at this bill, if we look at the side, see how much comes out here? Quite a hike. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the bottom of the bill there, and I'm just going to cut it in. All right, like so. You're welcome, Sandy. Okay, so now we got all the sides in a little further. So now we're going to go around and we're going to cut straight in, because we're going to make a larger V-tool than what our V-tool can do. So you're going to go on the top, and you're going to go on the bottom at an angle. And you're just going to cut that out a little deeper. All right? Just like so. You're going to do each side that way. Hopefully it won't freeze on us tonight, the photo. I think next week we're either going to do the elephant or we're going to do the little dove, okay? And the dove is not going to be in flight. It will be out of one of these, but it will be a smaller version of the birds we did before. And I have a little trick with him that I'm going to show you next week. So I haven't decided. I didn't get them painted. Didn't have time this week to do it. I was going to do it yesterday, but a few things came up, so I wasn't able to. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start rounding the head a little bit. All right, we're just going to bring this down a little bit, just like so. And we're going to do the back side the same way. Okay, so I'm going to take this across a little bit better, just like so. just bring this down a little bit in the back, because that gets chopped out a little bit more. If you hear that chirping, I got to change my batteries in my one of my alarms here. It's been chirping for a couple of days, so I have to get a battery for it. So that's where we're at now. So right here where we did this portion, right here, we did the back side. We're going to notch it out on the top so they kind of stick out a little bit. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to just, I'm going to go straight down. I'm going to go over a little bit and we're going to just go in like so, okay? Just like that, okay? Let me take a look at that, see if I did that right. Yeah, that's good. And same thing over here, we're going to take this down a little bit. Maybe not as far as what I have drawn here, but you definitely want to make it look like there's a little head here, okay? A little top of the head is a little rounded. That's what you're trying to achieve there, okay? So, once you get that done, we're going to go underneath the ear here, and we're just going to do a little V cut, just like so, all right? Both sides. And I'm going to round this off a little bit. Same thing with this. I'm going to take that little edge off. Now they have something called a 5-minute owl. That's a very quick. There's all variations of how to do an owl. This is just my variation of doing it. And you know, I enjoy doing things out of a block, and I will continue making things out of a block because I don't need a lot of big tools or anything. Everything can be done by holding it. And a lot of you seem to enjoy that, so that's good. All right, so now we're going to bring this down a little bit more. Now, right here, we're going to just bring this down a little bit. And we're going to get that rough stuff off the top. There we go. And we're going to bring this down. We're going to bring this down a little bit more. So it kind of blends in here. This is going to come down a little bit more on the back side. All right. Now, right here, there's a little bit of a, where the bill and the crown of the head meet. I don't know what they call it. So we've got to figure out where to go with that. So right here, I'm going to, right by the eyes here, I'm going to just kind of, should be really a V, or you can go straight across, but I'll try to make this into a V. All right, a little bit of a shape. Let me bring that down a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to trim this out a little bit. Just scoop it out. And same thing over here. I'm going to just scoop this out a little bit for the ear. I'm going to adjust the ears a little bit later on. So what we're going to do here, that's part of it right there. Now, if you take a look at this, this portion kind of comes right up to where the part goes in. I go from under the ear and I can take it down up to here. So technically, I'm going to bring this up and around, and I'm going to stay a little bit away from the edge there. I'm going to redraw this because I think this is just right where it needs to be. All right. So I'm going to take my V tool and we're going to cut part of this out, just this portion right now. Okay, just a little bit. All right, just down to there, and then I'm going to go across like that. Okay, so we have his bill. So now I'm going to take one of my little, I should have done it with this, not with the V tool, I'm sorry. With this here, this is how I'm doing it. I'm going to start digging this out a little bit, and I'm using my little gouge Actually, that should give you the edge you're looking for. So let me keep going here. And you're going to do the whole inside up to that line. So you're just going to keep going in a circle. If it's not wide enough, you can always widen it up. It's not a big deal. There you go. Right there. All right. See, it's coming along. All right. So this gets rounded off. This gets cut in a little further. So let's just keep going here. I should have done that with, not with a V-tool, but with this. Now I have two different sizes. I have 3 different sizes of these. One is a lot thinner, but this just fits perfectly around that eye. And see, the eye is already being pronounced already, so that's good. But we're going to take a V-tool to do the inside, and then we'll round that eye off. So we have a little ways to go here. All right, so let me just take it nice and slow. I like to be in a rush when I'm on a live broadcast, but it doesn't always pay off to do that. Let me just kind of scoop that out. I should have done that the other way. All right, so that's how you get that illusion of it, bending inward. Now you can, like, I think with this, let me take a look here. Yeah, you can actually dig quite a bit of this out yet and have it a little bit more pronounced. So we're just going to keep going here. But you're giving it the illusion as well, all right? So if you don't, let me take a look at something here. Okay. So that's one side. And then we're going to do the other side. Let's start on the other side here. We're just going to go on the inside of that. And it's not wide enough, you can adjust it a little bit, because you don't have any really deep markings going around. So you'll be able to adjust it a little bit more. Now see how much smaller that one is over this one? So we're going to go back and just kind of scoop it out again. Let me take a look at something here. Just hang on for a second. Yeah, I think I'll stick with this size. I think it works a little better. All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to dig it out again, a little deeper. You just take your time with it. You don't have to be in a rush for any of this. It's better that you don't. Yeah, just take your time. If your tool is sharp enough, you should be able to go in any direction, either direction with it. All right, it shouldn't make any difference. So let's take that back a little more. Now this here, we're going to go back to the knife. Let me spray it a bit. Hang on just a second here. No hot chocolate today, iced tea. All right. I usually spray it with this little bit of solution that I use, water and rubbing alcohol, 50-50 of the 70%. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of round off. We're going to adjust this as we go. So we're going to round this off a little bit more. All right, just like so. All right, just like that. Right here, this is where the bill is. So let's just go straight in a little bit underneath, so it looks like there's a little bit of a hook on that. And we're just going to notch that out a little bit here, just like so. All right, and we're going to bring this down. All right, and that's exactly what you want. So now we're going to take the V tool, and we're going to follow the outside of the bill. So, and remember, we're going to go across here a little bit. Let's just notch it out. We're going to just notch it out for now. And we're going to put a little V in the top there after we get this in. All right. And then we're going to take our little V tool and just put a little V in the middle. All right, good. And I'm going to bring this down just a tad more. And we're going to do that eye a little bit different as well. So take your V tool and you're going to go on either side, just very slightly on either side of that bill. Okay, just like so. And just like so. All right, so that kind of pops out a little bit. You can go back with your knife and kind of blend everything in a little bit. That will work. Get my little. Sometimes if you have a little point, it's a little better to get in there than a flat one. Somebody asked me if I had some Rough Riders. I do not. I did order one to see what the steel is like today. It was a little different back a few years ago. And I tried another that I thought, you know, if you really want a pocket knife, they are nice to have. You can fold them up and take them with you, and you don't have to worry about things clipping. I'm going to take a look at this back here because it's hard for me to see that up there, and this way I can just kind of clean this up a little bit. There we go. And we're going to bring this down a little bit. There we go. All right, good. So now we have that, and we have that one there. Let's go to the V tool again, and let's take that eye a little bit further in. Let me take a look at this. No. All right. And you could really fuss with these things for a long time if you want to. So I have to look at the ears later on and make sure they're straight. But this is what it looks like from the side. And I'm going to take this up a little further. Let's see, that came out and around a little bit. So let's just take that a little bit. All right, good. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. All right. Now he has little feet on the bottom, just like all my other birds have. And let me take a look at this for a second. I'm going to try to round it off and bring it down around the neck a little bit more. You can chop it like this and then go back and cut it from the underside, just like I'm doing here. And because if you do that, if you go in a little deeper, then you'll get a little more room between the eye and the body there. All right. So if you keep going in a little deeper, that makes it set out a little bit more, see? Just like so. All right, so now we have that pretty well where we want it. Let me take this here and let me just kind of trim this out a little bit more. Just This is what you're going to spend most of your time doing, is this and the feathering. Because it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to match the two sides together a lot of times. So, alright, so let me take a look here. Yeah, let me fix something that I see it's not correct here. Okay. Alright. Now, to get that eye rounded, the first thing I do is I kind of round it first a little bit. Just take the corners off, and then I'm going to take a little V tool to it. Now I'm going to, wait a second, something doesn't look right to me. Hang on just a second. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, we're going to cut a little bit of the eyes off because it should be sunken in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wider one. I'm just going to start slicing this out a little bit more and kind of scoop this out, and then we'll put the eye in. There, that's what we needed to do. Okay. But that gave you a good, even though I should have done this in the beginning, doing the outside, it gave you a real good place where to start with this. Okay, so we're going to take that off, and then we'll put the eye in. Make it a little bit deeper. And then we're going to make where it's got to be. Alright, there we go. That makes more sense to me. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, again, is I'm going to take this little one. So that kind of made the eye where it should have been to start with. So we're just going to bring this out a little bit more again. And around in a circle we go. One more time. Yeah. That kind of gives you an idea where the eye should be in the center. Okay, there you go. That looks much better. Alright, so we're going to just redo this cut on the outside. And, you know, sometimes if something doesn't look right, just go back and cut something off, you know, if you feel it doesn't seem right. Today was iced tea night, Jim. I forgot to make some, and I was kind of thirsty for something cold tonight. I was in a rush all day today, so let's see. Alright, now we're going to bring this out around. Let's just keep going here. Okay, now that's going to be cleaned up a little bit because the eye is going to be a little bit deeper. So we're going to take the V tool. We're just going to start going around the eye here. Alright, we don't have to go too crazy with it. And I like to turn and like I said, the hardest part for me is to get both eyes roughly the same. Alright, so that's one side. I'm going to do the other back here. It's just easier on my neck and everything else, trying to strain to look at it. So you got the idea how to do the first one. The second one should be fairly easy. And a lot of times I'll turn my carving instead of turning my V tool. So that eye is a little smaller, so I'm going to bring this one down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to straighten this out a little bit. I'm going to take the little tool here again and see if we can just blend this in a little bit. Kind of flatten that out a little bit as well. Okay. Now I'll clean it up a little bit more. Always seems easier. Always seems easier when I do it first on my own. I'm gonna round it off a little bit more. We get the other. Why that's dull, I don't understand that. So, okay. So that's the eye. I'm gonna try to make it a little deeper and take that little dip out of there. All right, and then the same thing over here. We're gonna try to take the gouges, and it's cold here too. It's not warm. We actually had some sleet today here. I wasn't too happy to see that this afternoon, but that was what we had. Let me use the wider one. It just makes it a little flatter. Or you can take the edge just like so and cut it. All right. So that's kind of how you do the eyes. That's how you do the eyes. All right. So let's bring this down, that down a little bit. And I'm going to just bring this down and kind of blend it together a little bit more. All right. Now the fun part of doing this is when we go to put the fur in, or not the fur, the feathers. So take all this rough stuff off for a second. So next week we'll either do the elephant or the dove, okay? It's whatever I get painted and done this week. All right. So now we have all that taken care of. Good. All right, so that's how you do the head. Now, to do the body, it's not that difficult. It's very similar to some of the other birds that we've been doing. And so we're going to bring this down and around like so. All right, on both sides. And you want it kind of the same distance if you can. All right, the body is fairly simple. The front, a little bit of the feather, and the back is similar to the front. So it's the hard part is going to be, well, let's round this off a little bit first before we even put the markings on there. Okay, so we're going to bring this down a little bit. And we're going to bring this up a little bit. We're going to take that little corner off. All right, just like so. See the shape already? That's how quick something can represent what you're doing. Hello, Marianne. Okay, so we're going to bring this down a little bit more. All right, so we're going to cut this. We're going to cut that in a little bit. And we're going to do a little V-cut. We're going to take our hefty little V-tool right here. And we're going to just go down one side. Okay, one side. And the other side. Of course, that's not even. That's not the day I've been having. Okay, let's see here. There we go. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to catch it. I only see 2 people at a time when I do this, so I don't always catch everybody that comes online. I try to look at it every so often to make sure I have this in the right position. But so we're going to trim this out. Bring this in. That's pretty well where we need to go there. All right, now I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to do a quick stop cut, and I'm going to recut it a little bit. This will help from the paints to bleed through. Why am I having a problem with that knife? Okay, so we're going to round off the little front part here, and we're going to just all blend this in, okay? I should have tested my knives after I sharpened them. I was in a rush. I could get on here at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to bring this around a little bit up to there. Bring this around a little bit up to there. All right. Now, the back side is just straight rounded. So we're going to round this off first. Bring this up. Now, if you caught what I just did, I went like this and it wouldn't go anywhere. So what you can do is when you feel that tug, if you're a beginner, you want to turn it the other way and go the opposite way. Unless you want to take all that corner off, but you got to be mindful how the grain's running. And I often say it's like driving a car. You know, do you think about putting on the windshield wiper or the signal if you're going left or right? It just comes automatically, and it will when you carve as well. You know, you'll get into that feel that you've got to turn it over because you had that tugging, and you won't be really thinking about it. You'll just automatically do it. And that just comes from being experienced at it and carving a lot. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to put these little featherings. Now I just threw some feathers on here. Whether they're technically this correct or not, that isn't a big deal for me because these are caricatures. If you're doing it realistically, it's a whole other ball game. But none of this is going to be proportioned right, okay? Owls, well, I know owls can be big, but they're not going to be half size of a giraffe. Everything is like my nativity set. It's going to be different. It's going to be roughly the same size, and I'm trying to do it out of those 3 blocks that I already sell, so I don't have to cut a bunch of different ones and people won't get confused what they're getting. What I'm going to do once I'm done with this and I figure out the other 6 or 7 other animals I'm going to do, I'll have it cut out for 2 of each, along with Noah and the dove, and then I don't know how many will be in a pack, but it will be similar to putting together the nativity set that I sell, so that you can take this video and follow it all the way through, and you'll have all the blocks that you need, the sizes that you need to do each project. All right, so right here, when I look at this in the front, we want it to come out a little bit in the front. So when I look at it, I kind of make it go like so, all right? And I kind of measure it there. That gives me an idea on this side so that I'm bringing it down and around, all right? So, and I want it all the way down. So, and then I look at it from the side, and I don't want a big amount of feathers there, so I'm just going to bring that down and around, and I have it always hooking in and down towards, all right, so like a curvature there. So all right, there we go. Now I look at one side, I look at the other. This one's much bigger. We're going to bring this down a little bit more. Let's see if that looks about right. It does to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the V tool, and I'm going to do the outside of it first. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to, now I'm going to teach you something, a little trick with the V tool here. once I get done here, okay? You can lay it on, I'll show it to you here. When you want to have more of a distinct side, like a drop, exactly like a 90-degree drop down, like a squared off edge there for the feathering, I lay this thing a little bit at an angle. And I'll show you what I mean by that. If I lay it at an angle, like it's a chisel, like half a chisel, you'll see what I'll end up doing. Okay, see the edge? If you lay it sideways a little bit, you don't have to do it too far side, but you don't want to go so deep that the edge is underneath. You can actually undercut it a little bit, which makes it much easier than with a knife. All right, so I'm going to go back there and cut that out. There you go. All right, so it gives you a little bit of an edge there. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to just kind of lean it towards where I'm going to flatten it out. And I will take the knife to it as well, because sometimes you can't always get it with a V-tool, but it comes in pretty handy to be able to lean it one way or the other. And I'll do that when I do the feathering here. So I didn't do it here. You see the difference? There's the actual V-tool where both sides are the same, and then I'll have to come back and I'll have to cut this side out to flatten it out. So this looks like it's over and above, overlapping over the chest area here. So when I lean it to the side, it works kind of like a chisel, but you have an edge at the same time. See how clean that is? And that's how I'll do the feathering too. That's really cool because it saves you a lot of time trying to clean things up with the knife. So when you aren't comfortable doing it that way, you can just do it like this. You can see a definite difference between the two, where this is really just one-sided that's cut. So you get the same effect, but you just have to cut this off with your knife. And it will help prevent you from cutting into the thing. And then you got to bring this down a little bit as well to get that same effect. Now, if you'd like it looking a little more rounded, you can leave it with a larger V cut and go back and hit everything with a knife. I always did it that way, but I thought this was pretty cool to do it that way. So now this is already cut out, so I'm going to just undercut here, and we're going to bring this up underneath the feather there, okay? And we're just going to clean everything up here because we're going to make lots of those little lines in a little bit here. Okay. It's gotten colder in PA for sure. It's not as warm as it was. I think it's supposed to get up in the 50s this week sometime. Yeah, we're already to Wednesday already. Jeez. Tomorrow. And a couple of my friends already got vaccinated. I'm waiting for my turn to get there. But I am on the bottom of the list. I don't quite qualify for anything till the very end, but maybe if I get vaccinated and they open up the border, I can go to see my family. So anyway, so that's the back side. So let's go to the front side here, okay, where the feet are. We're going to do the same thing. Now, if this isn't deep enough, you can always cut it a little deeper with the knife. Well, this wasn't as clean a cut as in the back, but you can always cut it a little deeper if you are not happy with how deep the V-tool went with it. So that's a nice little trick to learn. You can do a lot of things leaning that V-tool. The V-tool is so versatile, incredibly versatile. So I'm going to take this off here. Now I'm going to go up here a little bit, and I'm going to cut under here a little bit just to give it some depth. So when I do my second one, I'll have the second one ready for my Noah's Ark. I have to paint the other giraffe yet. I didn't do that. So the painting is always such, so difficult for so many of us. I'm just going to do that a little bit more of a point there. Okay, that looks good. All right, the feet. All we do with the feet is we chop it in the middle and do a couple little toes in there. All right, so we're going to just separate the feet like we always do with the V-tool, our handy little V-tool. I have all the tools in now, plenty of them, so I should be able to get them out to you. I know there's only 1 or 2 people that ordered over the weekend. I got so caught up with a couple things the last couple of days. I was going to send it out Monday, but I couldn't get to the post office, so I'll be able to get to the post office tomorrow for sure. All right. So if you're waiting for a package, I already emailed you that it's going to be a couple of days later, simply because of what's going on. All right, so now I'm going to do, I think I'll just do one because they only really have a couple of things here. And we'll go take this up like this and like that. And we'll do little notches for like their little knuckles or whatever you want to call it. I don't know all the terminology to these birds. Yes, Marianne, I still have knives. I have gouges. I've got everything. I've got wheels. I've got to make more wheels. I've just ran out of those. I did 8 and they're gone again. Do I dry brush anything? No, I don't. I do everything either with a full load of paint, but I don't really dry brush. Unless I'm highlighting something, then I'll dry brush. Like if I'm highlighting the white, I will dry brush that on. Okay? But we're talking about the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to trim all this off for a second here. And then I'll show you how to put all the feather details in. Oh, we still have to put the feathers in here, so. All right. All right, so now I just kind of laid them whichever way I thought looked good. So what I do is I just make a little U shape here and I come up like so. And I put one underneath that one and maybe down all the way to the bottom. And then just a little one here, okay? Then I flip it over and I do the same thing. I'm going to clean that up first because it's not going to look right when we go to paint it. Yes, that's... I only dry brush when I'm highlighting something, that's it. Some people do airbrushing. I don't know anything about that. But, there's plenty of things on YouTube, I'm sure, that can teach you how to airbrush if you're doing fish or anything like that. Okay. They always look better if you airbrush them. To blend those colors in and such. It's really hard to do that just painting. Even though some people have done it that way. So, okay, so that's pretty well cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and put the designs on. I'll show you again how to do that with a V-tool. So we're going to put one big, right, like so. I always like to have it kind of rounded, all right? And then this one will come down and rounded. And then this one is the last one, and this is the very last. And again, you can use your V-tool by laying it to the side. So if this is the one that's going to be on top, okay, like the feather that's going to be on top of the others, you're going to lay that blade a little bit to the left. All right, and we're going to go right up, and we're going to go straight across. Okay, And then I'm going to lay it the other way to go around that corner. Okay, see how nice that popped out? You don't have a whole lot to clean, so um, yeah, I'll fix that up because I nailed that with it. But the next one is going to be this one here, so I'm going to just turn it upside down, and I'm going to lay my tool to the right, and I'm just going to, you got to be careful you don't get that blade completely under the wood all the way on this side. Otherwise, you're going to start chipping things out. But see how nice that looks? That just makes it pop out really nice. So then I'm going to lay it again, and I'm going to do this last one. Now, you notice that, see, that's what happens if you lay it too flat. But you can blend that in. It's not that difficult to do. So, and now I'll lay it to the left. Get up to the bottom there, and I may need to take my knife just to chop that little piece out and to clean this up just a tiny bit, but it looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it the way it is, and I'm going to do the other side the same way. And I'm going to lean it to the right. Okay, so I'm going to do the right side of the V tool, and I'm going to just bring this up. And this is why they call it a parting tool or a V tool. Okay, very good. Now you can use this as a chisel a little bit and just take the rest of this off. I did sell quite a few of those flat chisels. Some of you really like using those. So those are also available yet. And if it's not deep enough, you just follow it again, okay? So I'm going to lean it to the right. That's okay, that chipped off because that's just the way that worked out with the wood sitting there like that. All right. And it does come in handy. If you do a lot of birds, it just saves you a lot of time from cutting it with a knife and then chopping it up. So it's just more of a time saver, and I think it cleans it up a little bit better. But you're going to have to go back with the knife every once in a while and clean things up and make things a little deeper. Okay? So that works really well. So we're going to lean it. We're going to go against the grain. So let's turn it the other way, and I'm going to go lean it to the left. There we go. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit with the knife, and then we're going to start fixing the eyes and such as that. Now these eyes need to go a little deeper because they're not completely rounded. There we go. And it will be a little harder to get things when you're shaving when it's, I can't think of the word. When you have it dug out like that, it's a lot harder to carve because you don't have the room to lay it flat or, to get to areas as much. So just take your time with it, just like I'm not really rushing a whole lot tonight because I want to make sure I do this one right and all that. So, okay. Now, let me just see something here. Let me take that little... Hello, Lori. Welcome to the class. All right. We're almost done with this guy. So now here comes the fun part. You're going to use your V tool again. I'm going to spray it because we're going to start doing the eyeballs. So I'm going to spray it pretty well. So now you have all the feathers done where you want them. You've got the back done. You got the feet finished. The head's done. Now we're going to put this part on. So I wet it because it's a little easier to cut. Now it doesn't, how can I explain this? It does not make it, if your knife is dull, it is not going to help it. Okay, you're going to be tearing it. But if your knife is nice and sharp, and if it's a delicate area to work on, then do it spraying it with this stuff, the 50% rubbing alcohol and water, will prevent some really difficult ways of doing it. So, you know, if it's a sensitive area like this, so what I do is I just go to the eye here, and I go all the way around. Now, you notice it's not coming out. Um, well, hello, Brian, and welcome. And so, you know, you're going to have to take your knife, and you're going to have to take the tip of your knife, and you're going to have to knock each one of those out. Okay? Just like so. And then I go back and I do another line a little bit longer and very, very lightly. You know, this V tool, you can make it as deep as you want or as light as you want. So you want to make sure that that you just take your time with it, okay? You don't go crazy with trying to do it, because then you'll be digging into the eye. Just, you know, these little owls are fun to do, but they take a little bit more time because of how the eye is situated. And I'm only going to do one eye on line, and I'll show you how to do the rest of the body here. Okay, so now you could take a toothbrush and try to rub it out, but I like to use a knife instead to do that. Okay, so there you go. So that's how I do the inside of the eye. And when you do the top of the I'll clean that up a little bit more. It's hard to see that. Of course, I don't have my glasses on either. That doesn't help. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the top of the head. So we're going to just go straight out. Well, that was kind of deep, but and right above the eye there, you know, we're just going to try to blend in a little bit up until there's a difference in which way we went. And then we're going to do the ear here a little bit. I'm just going to show you real quick how to do this. And then you're going to go straight across. You know, I got more to clean up on this guy around the ears, but go straight across. And then when you're over here, okay, I'm going to do this side since this side's finished. You're going to go down. Yeah, you're just going to go down straight. So we're just going to do this just like so, and take little cuts out of here. All right, so when you get over here, you want to kind of go toward, well, that's dangerous to do it that way. You want to go away from that. So why is my battery not charging? That's not good. Hang on just a second. What did I do wrong here? Oh, it's coming out of the socket. That's why it's giving me that warning. That should do it. Let's see if that's better now. Yep, it's charging. All right, so here you kind of want to go the opposite way, and you just want to bring it down towards the neck, okay? You're going to kind of turn it towards the neck a little bit, and that's what you do here. Now, there's really not a whole lot to do behind the ear. Okay, we just kind of do this flat and leave that the way it is. And then I bring this down to here. I kind of just start to where I have to go here, and then I start going backwards. It's just easier. All right. Okay, that should be, I thought that was closer to the eye. Okay, so you want to try to get it as close to the edge of the eye all the way around. Now I'm going to do some more cuts in between, but this works out pretty good. Okay, and then you're going to go up towards the head. You're going to blend all this in. Okay, it won't take long to, let me clean that up a little bit. That should not be like that. just like so. All right. You notice I have my thumb resting on the owl because it is going to be, they're little strokes that you do. They're not super long. And then you do the same thing to the other side of the head, okay? You bring it all down to here. Now, how I do feathering? Well, the feathering is a little different. When I do a feather, I usually do the center line first in each feather, and I offset it. I don't put it right down underneath it. It's offset. Okay, just like so. And this is the last one right there. Just go like so. All right. Then I go from the outside and I just kind of take it at an angle. I do each one separately. This is where a sharp knife and a V-tool comes in so handy, because you should be able to go in any direction with it, you know. All right. Yeah. Okay. And this one, I'll show you half of the thing. I'm not going to do it all online here because it's just repeating the same thing over and over. Now, if it doesn't come clean, you can always go the other way. The only problem with doing it the other way, you might chip it out. All right, that's the only difference. Okay, so let's see here. I'll show you what it looks like once I get everything done here. All right, so this is what it looks like when you do the feathering. All right, now this, let me clean that up a little bit more. Okay. We're going to just round that chest out a little bit more. Okay, so now this just is going in. You start from the top and you feather it out to the right or to the left. So that's just how I do it. I just go from, because you want contrast. You want things that don't go right in a row, because then you can't tell the difference between one thing or the other when you do it that way. No, Brian, I sell only the cutouts. I don't, I have to buy that in bulk, and it costs a lot to ship it. So I only save those for my kits that I put together because it's expensive to get a lot of it here. But there are places you can look on Google, and there's a few places that will sell 1 by 1 by 12. Okay, but I need to keep what I have, otherwise I'd be restocking it all the time, and you know the markup would have to be even even a little bit more than I'd like to do because of the shipping. I hope that explains it. The shipping is what really kills me with the when I get it, and also when I have to ship it out. Okay, so that's how you want it. You want it going from one side and flowing to the other. So this is one half of the bird, one half of the owl. And people ask where I get my basswood. Well, I don't usually give that information out, but it wouldn't matter anyway if I did, because he will not do small amounts. He only does large amounts. And I bought, like, I don't know how many boxes of this stuff since last year. So he said he's gotten away from a few selling. It doesn't pay with all the shipping. All right, so anyhow, the other side is pretty well straight down. It's not too crazy. but I do it towards, let me show you, I can show you better with this. It goes towards the opposite way. You can make it a little bit rounded, it's okay. I think it makes it look nice, nicer than straight down. Okay. And the colors, well, the colors are kind of different with the owl. There's different variations of owls, but I just used white for the top, and I use like a burnt umber sienna mix for the wings, and more of a sienna and light and burnt umber, but a less burnt umber for the back. So you want a little bit of contrast, and then I used a little bit of white mixed in with this, and then I went over it and dried brush the little highlights that you see on the head and on the other. All right, so that's how I put it together. So when you're done with this, it should look like an owl. So there's one half of it. All right, and there's the side. There's the back. And I'll take care of the rest when I get offline. So I've made a mess here already. I may as well just finish it up. All right, folks, that will do us tonight for the for this. I will show you the little bird. It's going to be sitting, but you'll see why it will look different. Or the elephant. Okay, so we'll do one or the other next week. All right, guys, thanks for joining me here on the Carver's Woodshop. Good night, and God bless y'all. Bye-bye.